This program contains true stories of rescues. All of the 911 calls you will hear are real. Whenever possible, the actual people involved have helped us reconstruct the events as they happened. We begin in 1912, as a legendary performer was about to begin his act high above the streets of Philadelphia.
Mike Rosso's idol was Harry Houdini, probably the greatest escape artist in the world. And Mike just wanted to kind of be Harry Houdini. We were the Punchline, a stand-up comedy club. What we're trying to accomplish is to let people know that we had swapped over the club to a different format.
Yeah, got great weather for it, though.
Manager Mark Hudgens wanted an attention-getting way to let people know the club would now be presenting magic as well.
At that point, we were approached by Mike Rosso, who said that he would like to do a stunt out front in the same lines as Harry Houdini.
Magician Howard Flint had known and performed with Mike for several years.
We came here on the opening week, and Michael said, yes, come in and do the close-up magic, Howard, and I'm going to be doing the straitjacket escape upside down from a burning rope. About a half an hour before the actual performance, Michael will go out, take a piece of rope, light that, and hang and pull and twist every way he could to pull on it, find out what the burn time was. Generally about 4 minutes, as I recall. He had timed getting out of the straitjacket, since he had done it many times, to the point that he figured he could do that in about 1.5 to 2 minutes. That's why he was convinced that everything was fine.
September 22nd, 1989 was Mike's 4th performance of the escape that week.
How you doing? Yeah! All right.
Michael, at this point, said, hi, I'm Mike Rosso. I'm here to entertain you. I need 2 volunteers to help tie me into this straitjacket.
Okay, what is your name?
Jay.
Jay, and your name?
Jamie.
He always used volunteers. These were not stooges that put him in a special straitjacket. Each individual hand buckled him into it. He was trussed up very, very tightly. That's the way he wanted it. As soon as Michael was strapped into the jacket, the fluid was applied to the burn rope, and the lighter was put to it. At that point, it burned as it had been before, just a circle of flame.
Drive my head. As soon as my head is clear of the cement, then you guys can let go.
Okay. When we got to about 30 or 40 feet high above the ground, the winds aloft were a lot higher than they were on the ground. And what was normally a small burn now turned into a flag of fire. It was burning faster than we'd ever seen it. I was entranced. I wasn't paying attention to the audience. I was looking at Michael. I just started walking forward underneath him. And when the flames were really roaring, I started to turn to the crane operator to say, bring him down.
A bystander ran to the club office to get help.
I knew we needed 911 more than I needed to go out there.
Call 911. The rope broke on Mike out there. You better get out there quick.
We have emergency 911.
When we continue.
I didn't know what was going on with Michael, if he would make it or not. I was afraid he wouldn't. My thoughts were that this boy is gone.
Magician Mike Rosso was performing an escape trick he had done dozens of times before when the rope snapped, sending him plunging headfirst 40 feet to the pavement below.
Mike, you all right?
I'd heard a rather sickening thump, and when I had gotten up and looked at him, his eyes were closed, and he started to moan and gag a little bit. It was a death rattle sound. I'd heard it before. I worked on ambulance before.
Paramedic Jeff Harcum was already in the field.
The call was dispatched as a person down injured in a fall, and it gave the address of the North Lake Punchline. It's kind of a coincidence we were passing the intersection where the actual scene of this accident took place.
I was hoping Michael had just been stunned, unconscious, because he did knock me down. And I thought, all right, this is my buddy. Let's have him get up. Come on, Michael, talk to me. Mike, you're going to be okay. Get up. There was no reaction except this gurgling death rattle sound.
From the time I notified my communications operator that my unit was going to handle the call to the time that we arrived on the scene was less than a minute. We had a minute response time. I noticed that the patient was lying on his left side, was bleeding moderately from his head, was unconscious, exhibiting a decordicate posturing, as if he were in a fetal type position, which is indicative of a severe head injury in that type of patient.
Give us a little bit of room, folks. Come on.
Just seeing him at that point put in my mind, with all my training and experience that I've gained, that this patient did not have a good chance of surviving this incident. I think the assistant, the way he deflected him or tried to catch him, lessened his injuries.
Okay, Mike, you're doing all right now.
By breaking Mike's fall, Howard may have saved his life. Mike was transported to the nearest trauma center, where neurosurgeon Stephen Jacobs was on call.
The patient on my initial examination was not brain dead, but he was as close to being brain dead as one could possibly be.
Scotty, let's give him another 250 cc's of mannitol when he gets inside.
And at the time, I did not think he was going to survive.
Michael's sister remembers that night.
Being that I was the first family member there, the doctor came in and told me that a little bit about Michael and how he was doing, and that he was going to need to do surgery and implant something in his head to monitor the brain as soon as possible.
Okay, give me the self-retaining retractor.
The immediate concern is to reduce the amount of brain swelling because that is the cause of death in this situation.
The internal monitoring device was used along with medication to help control the amount of pressure building up within his brain.
Okay.
All his family could do was wait and hope.
First time I saw Michael after he fell, I don't know what I really expected to see, but what I saw was devastating.
Michael we saw there was not my brother. It was, somebody who was laying there had no life.
He was in a deep coma.
You still couldn't believe it. It's hard to accept that one minute they're there and the next minute they could be gone.
There was always the question in my mind, and probably still will be, had I done the right thing? Was this man going to lay there like that for the rest of his life because I tried to save him? Was he going to die because I didn't try hard enough? I just had no answers for that.
For a number of days and weeks after the patient's injury, the patient remained in a coma. Somewhere along the third week, I went in to see him in the morning, and I gave him a nudge or a pinch on the chest. I had been doing this every morning since the time of admission, and gotten no response. And on this particular day, he opened his eyes, and I was just thrilled.
Dr. Jacobs walked out, and he had this big smile on his face. And he says, "By damn Faye, I think the boy's gonna make it."
Through extensive therapy, Michael has relearned how to do many of the things he once took for granted.
At this point, I think the prognosis for Michael's recovery is excellent. It has now been 6 or 7 months since the injury, and I would say that Michael is over 90% recovered. And I fully expect him to make a 100% recovery.
Everybody let me know who wants a piece of watermelon. All right, Mike.
As of right now, Mike is still, personality-wise, still very childlike. According to what the doctors and the therapists have told us, is that this is a matter of retraining.
During that process, what we're actually having to do is watch him grow up again.
Gina Bowman had been Michael's girlfriend at the time of the accident.
I still don't know what's going to happen between her and Michael. Just a couple of weeks before the accident, Mike had finally asked her to marry him. And then just so short of a time later, to not even remember her.
Every now and then, I feel sad that it might have changed me for the rest of my life. But each day when I wake up and the regular me is back, I smile and I say, "Thank you, body, thank you, brain," because I'm getting better.
I've told him, you know, that I'm here for him. You know, I'll be his best friend, his pal, his confidant. I'm just thankful he's here and that I get this opportunity, because at one point I didn't think I was going to have that opportunity.
Please welcome Mike Rosso.
The magic that almost killed Michael has emerged as the strongest force in helping him to rebuild his life.
When I asked to go back and do the show at the hospital, I started the show by saying this was my thank you to all the nurses and doctor and people who helped me. It was my thank you.
This is a special rope because it's not one rope, it's one long piece of rope, one medium piece of rope, and one short piece of rope.
Michael will get back into magic. That's his first love. He loves magic. He loves performing. He's a great technician. He's a damn fine performer. And I'm waiting to see him get totally recovered.
When you pull them apart, they're all the same now. It was short, medium, and long. Pick any card you want.
He's always been a perfectionist. And now it's even more important to him to be able to come back and show everybody that he's as good as he ever was. And he strives for it. He practices, and he's going to do it.
Next.
We were all in shock. It just never occurs to us that one of us could go down.
What is it? It's our dispatcher. She's down at this time.
On the night of August 21st, 1990, paramedics and dispatchers with Camden County EMS gathered at the Emergency Dispatch Center in Kingsland, Georgia, for a most unlikely event.
Camden County Emergency Service.
We were getting ready. We were real excited because we were having a wedding shower for two of the people that work here.
Paramedic Supervisor Renee Taylor was on duty, along with dispatcher Bobby Lee and a relief dispatcher.
Bobby had not felt well that day, but seemed to feel a little better toward the evening. She got the most peculiar look on her face.
I don't feel good, but I'm getting very dizzy.
And she said, "I think you're gonna lose me." I thought she was gonna faint. She looked like she was gonna faint. And I went down the hall to get a wet towel for her.
Tina, come here. Tina!
I was in the kitchen talking to my fiance Mike, and when I first walked into the room, it took me a minute to picture what was going on.
I got her head, you got her feet? Yeah. She's having a seizure. Bobby. Hey, talk to me, Bobby.
Come on, Bobby. Call Danny.
I called Danny on the intercom.
EMS Director Danny Daniels was in his office across the street.
Told him to come over there. We need him.
Talk to me.
Danny, get over. Bobby.
All right, be right over.
By the time I got back with the wet towel, Bobby was obviously completely unconscious.
Come on, Bobby. Say something to us.
She was unresponsive. It was obvious she was having a seizure and the problems associated with that. Her blood pressure was elevated. Get me a drug box and a glucometer.
Okay.
When I realized that Bobby was in such a critical medical emergency, I wanted to fly her out on a helicopter.
Lifeline. Yes, this is Camden Emergency Services. Can you fly?
The nearest hospital was 50 miles away,
It's our dispatcher. She's down at this time.
but the Life Flight helicopter was grounded because of stormy weather.
She had projectile vomiting, and I knew this lady was in critical condition. I went to another phone, called St. Luke's Hospital in Jacksonville.
St. Luke's emergency room.
The ER doctor on duty agreed with Danny that the immediate problem was Bobby's dangerously high blood pressure. He prescribed appropriate medication.
Okay.
Can you move your toes okay?
After I received the orders, we started IVs, gave her drugs. She became more and more lucid or conscious as time proceeded.
Tina, get up for a call.
The drug Procardia was administered, and preparations were made to transport her to the hospital by ambulance.
She had to be treated rapidly and aggressively in order to keep this problem from extending or becoming worse.
Bobby, we'll give you a good ride to the hospital, honey.
So we knew we had a 45-minute drive. We knew we had to get going quickly.
We were all in shock. Like, this did not really happen. It just never occurs to us that one of us could go down.
On the way, Renee and Danny kept the hospital informed about Bobby's condition.
I watched her EKG because we still were not 100% sure she had stroked, and sometimes cardiac dysrhythmias can cause people to be unconscious and have seizures.
And reflect that to her. But I was extremely fearful that Bobby may not survive this calamity and be back a part of us again.
The ambulance arrived at St. Luke's Hospital, where Bobby was admitted under the care of Dr. Jerry Budd.
When she arrived at the hospital, her condition was very critical. She was at a very high risk of dying from either a heart problem or a brain problem. At that point, I still couldn't tell which it was without further testing. You have any chest pain?
No, sir.
Neck pain?
While doctors examined Bobby, her husband Dan, an airport police officer, waited for word.
I think he was in shock. A lot of hospitals, a lot of emergency rooms don't allow family members back, but I seized the opportunity, just went and got him myself and brought him back there to see her. In the back of my mind, I had to think, you know, I don't know that 2 hours from now she won't be dead and that he didn't get to see her.
I first saw her in the emergency room, and we were talking. Of course, tried not to, let her know that I was afraid. It's hard when you've been married to someone to sort of, I guess, put on a straight face, because you know that they know exactly what you're thinking. But in all truthfulness, I thought that probably by tomorrow or whatever with this, that I would be alone, that I was fixing to lose my wife.
When she had the CAT scan, it was noted that she had had bleeding around the covering of the brain. The most likely cause of something like that in a lady of her age would have been what we call a subarachnoid hemorrhage, which is usually due to an aneurysm of one of the arteries in the brain.
A subarachnoid hemorrhage is a potentially fatal problem. Unrecognized, it can have a mortality of 50%.
A team of doctors led by neurosurgeon Mark Spatola performed microsurgery on her brain.
We were able to get inside of her head and work around the brain to be able to locate the blood vessel that had bled, and then we're able to put a clip onto the aneurysm, all of this being done under the operating microscope.
The delicate surgery took 4 hours to complete. Two months later, Bobby Lee has almost completely recovered and is ready to return to work.
Just go to Grandma.
My family means more to me. My friends mean more to me. I've given out a lot more hugs. I'm a hugger and a toucher anyway, but I think I've given out an abundance of hugs because I'm just so glad to be able to hug them.
I feel good too. I'm ready. Look out.
Every fire and rescue organization in the United States feels a degree of family because of the fact that we have to look life and death in the face every day that we're on duty. And therefore it kind of draws you together as a family unit because we may not be here tomorrow, and we know that because we see it every day in our jobs.
How you doing?
They're responsible really for saving her life. To say thank you seems very small, but that's about all we can say is thank you very much.
They did the same thing for me that they would have done for anyone else. I love you all very much, and I thank you for my life. You'll always be in my heart.
Step out of the car, please.